Have you ever wondered why certain words or actions hurt you so much? Why do we let what others say or do affect our inner peace? We often hear people say, "Don't let it get to you." But how exactly do you achieve that? Imagine for a moment a life where no one's words or actions could hurt you. How different would your days be? What if I told you that there is a way to make this a reality? A simple shift in mindset, a practice rooted in ancient wisdom that can transform how you react to everything around you. Here's a quick example from daily life. Picture yourself in a busy cafe. You're waiting in line for your coffee when suddenly someone cuts in front of you. Instantly, you feel anger rising. But wait, what if, in that very moment, you could detach from that anger? What if their actions no longer had power over your emotions? That's the kind of inner strength we're talking about today. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we dive deep into age-old teachings to help you build a peaceful, unshakable life. If you're new here, thank you for watching. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of you have subscribed. So please, before we go any further, take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe. This not only helps you stay updated with content that can change your life, but also helps us continue to bring you more insights. Let's grow this community of inner wisdom together. In today's video, we'll explore how the teachings of Buddhism show us that no one can truly hurt us unless we allow them to. It might sound difficult at first, but once you understand the principles behind it, you'll see how freeing this mindset can be. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is that suffering stems from within. What does that mean? It means that the pain we feel, the anger, frustration, and sadness, these are all reactions generated by our own minds. It's not the external events themselves that cause suffering, but how we perceive and react to them. This is where the true power lies. In controlling our reactions, not trying to control the outside world. Buddhism teaches that we often fall into the trap of attachment. We become attached to how we think things should be, how we expect people to behave, or what we believe we deserve. And when reality doesn't match our expectations, we suffer. But when we let go of these attachments, we stop giving others the power to hurt us. We free ourselves from the endless cycle of pain caused by unmet expectations. Think about it. When someone insults you, it's your attachment to your self-image that causes pain. You want to be seen in a certain light, and when someone challenges that, it feels personal. But if you release that attachment, suddenly their words lose their sting. They are just words, sounds passing through the air, and you remain unshaken. Another important concept is that of impermanence. Everything in life is constantly changing. Situations, emotions, and people are all in a state of flux. When we hold on to something as if it will last forever, we are setting ourselves up for disappointment. By embracing impermanence, we can learn to flow with life rather than resist it, reducing the emotional impact of things that are, by nature, fleeting. Now, let's bring this back to our everyday experiences. You can practice these teachings in any situation. Whether someone cuts you off in traffic, a colleague criticizes your work, or a loved one says something hurtful. Instead of reacting immediately, take a pause. Recognize that their actions don't have to control your feelings. You have the power to choose how you respond. This approach doesn't mean you ignore injustice or allow others to treat you poorly. It's about building emotional resilience so that you can handle life's challenges with clarity and strength. By cultivating this mindset, you become less reactive, more thoughtful, and ultimately more peaceful. In this video series, we'll dive deeper into these ideas and explore practical ways to apply them in your daily life. By the end, you'll have tools that will help you remain calm and centered, no matter what comes your way. Stay with us, and you'll discover the path to true inner resilience. So remember, no one can hurt you unless you allow them to. It's all about mastering your mind, detaching from expectations, and embracing the flow of life. Keep watching, and let's take this journey together. Don't forget to subscribe to Wisdom Woven for more transformative insights. We're just getting started, and there's so much more to explore. Understanding the source of suffering. Let's sit together for a moment and reflect on a simple truth. Most of the suffering we experience in life does not come from the outside world. It comes from within. You might feel that life is constantly throwing challenges at you, people hurting you, or situations getting in the way of your happiness. But what if I told you that the source of all this suffering is not what you think it is? Let's look deeply into this. You see, the world around you is always changing. People come and go. Situations rise and fall. Sometimes you experience joy, and other times pain. But the world, in its constant state of change, does not control your suffering. The real question is, why do certain things cause you to suffer while others don't? Why do the same situations affect different people in different ways? The answer lies in how we perceive and react to those situations. This is what Buddhism teaches us. Buddha once said that life is full of suffering, but he didn't stop there. He gave us the tools to understand where that suffering comes from and how to overcome it. The key lies in understanding the nature of our minds. Imagine you're walking in the rain. You get wet, but instead of simply feeling the rain, your mind starts complaining, "Why does it have to rain now? I was supposed to have a great day." Suddenly, a simple natural event, rain, turns into a source of frustration and suffering. The rain isn't the problem. It's your reaction to it. This is the first thing we must understand. Suffering doesn't come from outside events, but from our attachment to how we think things should be. Now, let's dive deeper. One of the core ideas in Buddhism is that of attachment. You might think of attachment as holding on to something tightly, whether it's an idea, a person, or a situation. When we become attached to things, when we want them to stay the same or meet our expectations, we set ourselves up for disappointment and suffering. This is because nothing in the world stays the same forever. Everything is constantly changing. When reality doesn't match our expectations, we feel pain. For example, think about a time when someone said something that hurt you. It's not their words that caused the pain, but your attachment to your self-image, your idea of who you are and how you should be treated. When their words challenge that, it hurts because you're attached to the way you want to be seen. This is why the Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering. We become attached to people, to outcomes, to our possessions, to our opinions. And when those things change or don't go as we planned, we suffer. But if we can loosen our grip, if we can let go of our attachments, then we free ourselves from the chains of suffering. Let me tell you a little story. Once, there was a monk who carried a beautiful clay bowl with him everywhere he went. He loved this bowl and used it every day. One morning, as he was washing it, the bowl slipped from his hands and shattered into pieces. The monk simply smiled and said, "Ah, the bowl was already broken." You see, the monk wasn't attached to the bowl because he had already accepted that everything is temporary. He didn't cling to it as something permanent or unchangeable. In this way, he freed himself from suffering even before it happened. So, how do we let go of attachment? This is not an easy task, but it starts with mindfulness, being fully aware of our thoughts and emotions as they arise. When we notice that we are getting attached to something, we can remind ourselves that nothing lasts forever and that it's okay to let go. It's okay for things to change. Think about it. Every moment in your life is new. Every situation, every emotion, and every person you meet is constantly shifting. Even you are not the same person you were yesterday or even an hour ago. Once you begin to see this truth, that everything is impermanent, you start to loosen your attachment to how you think things should be. And in that space of letting go, suffering begins to fade. But there's another layer to this, craving. Craving is the desire for things to be different than they are. It's the if-only mentality. If only I had more money, I would be happy. If only my boss respected me, I would feel better about my job. If only I could change this about myself, then I'd be content. Craving is the voice that constantly tells us that happiness is just out of reach, that we need something more to be complete. But this is a trap. Craving leads to suffering because it's based on the false belief that happiness comes from external things, things that are, by their nature, impermanent. You might get what you crave today, but tomorrow it might be gone. And then what? The cycle of craving and dissatisfaction starts all over again. Buddhism teaches us that true happiness doesn't come from getting everything we want, but from freeing ourselves from the constant cycle of wanting. So, how do we stop craving? The first step is awareness. When you feel that desire rising in you, stop and ask yourself, will this really bring me lasting happiness? Or is it just a fleeting moment of satisfaction that will fade away, leaving me craving something else tomorrow? By becoming aware of your cravings, you begin to weaken their power over you. Let's come back to the core idea. Suffering is not caused by the world outside. It's caused by how we relate to that world. When we become attached to things or crave something different, we give up our peace of mind. But when we begin to understand the nature of attachment and craving, we see that there's a different path, one where we let go and flow with the constant changes of life. In this moment, you have everything you need to be at peace. You don't need to change anything outside of yourself. The world will continue to change, people will continue to say things, events will come and go. But your suffering doesn't have to depend on those things. You have the power to choose how you respond. Buddhism offers us this simple but profound insight. Suffering is optional. You don't have to let the world hurt you. You can learn to release your attachments and cravings, and in doing so, discover a deep, unshakable peace within yourself. So, let's take a breath and remember, the source of suffering is not out there. It's within, and that's a good thing, because it means you have the power to change it. The teachings of Buddhism show us that by understanding the nature of our minds, our attachments, our cravings, we can free ourselves from suffering and live a life of peace, no matter what's happening around us. This is the path we're on, and it's a path that leads to true inner freedom. Stay with me, and together, we'll explore deeper ways to bring this peace into every part of your life. The mind as the ultimate shield. Imagine for a moment that you are walking through a storm. The wind is howling, rain is pouring down, and lightning cracks across the sky. Yet, in the midst of this chaos, you carry an umbrella that shields you completely. The storm rages around you, but you stay dry, calm, and unaffected. Now think of that umbrella as your mind. Just like the umbrella protects you from the storm, your mind can protect you from the storms of life. The difficulties, the harsh words, the judgments of others. All these are part of life's natural chaos. But with the right mental training, they don't have to affect you. The mind is your ultimate shield. But how, you might ask, can the mind truly protect us? How can we avoid being hurt by life's inevitable struggles? That's what we're going to explore today. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is that our mind shapes our reality. It's not the outside world that hurts us, but how we interpret it. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people walking down a street, and someone shouts an insult at them. The first person gets angry, feels hurt, and maybe even shouts back. They carry that anger with them for the rest of the day, maybe even longer. The second person, however, hears the same insult and simply smiles. They let the words pass without any emotional reaction. They continue walking, unaffected. What's the difference? The situation was the same, but the way each person responded to it was completely different. The first person allowed the insult to penetrate their mind, to stir up emotions of anger and hurt. The second person, however, used their mind as a shield. They understood that the insult was just words, nothing more, and chose not to give it any power over them. This is the power of the mind. It can either magnify every difficulty, every harsh word, every painful event, or it can protect you, allowing you to remain calm, centered, and at peace. One of the most important concepts to understand is that pain and suffering are not the same thing. Pain is a natural part of life. We all experience loss, disappointment, and hardship. But suffering, the emotional and mental turmoil that comes with pain, is something we create with our minds. Think about this. When you stub your toe, you feel physical pain. But if you start thinking, why am I always so clumsy? Why do bad things always happen to me? You add suffering to the pain. The pain is just a momentary sensation, but the suffering can last much longer because it comes from your mind, not from the actual event. The same goes for emotional pain. If someone criticizes you, the initial sting is like the stubbed toe. It hurts, but it's temporary. If you start dwelling on that criticism, thinking, maybe they're right, maybe I'm not good enough, or why does everyone always pick on me? You create suffering that can last far beyond the original event. This is where the mind's protective power comes in. By training the mind, you can learn to experience life's difficulties without turning them into long-lasting suffering. The key lies in how you interpret and respond to the events around you. In Buddhism, we talk a lot about mindfulness, the practice of being fully aware of the present moment without getting caught up in thoughts about the past or the future. When you're mindful, you're able to see situations clearly, without the emotional reactions that often distort reality. Let me give you another example. Imagine you're driving in heavy traffic and someone cuts you off. Your immediate reaction might be to get angry, maybe even to honk your horn or shout something out the window. But what if you paused for just a moment? What if, instead of reacting automatically, you took a deep breath and simply noticed your emotions? You might realize that your anger isn't actually helping you. It's just making the situation worse. By staying mindful, you can see the situation for what it really is. Just another car on the road, just another moment in your day. Instead of letting the event ruin your mood, you let it go, and you keep moving forward. This is the power of the mind as a shield. It's not about denying your emotions or pretending that bad things don't happen. It's about learning to respond to life's challenges with clarity and calm, rather than getting swept away by your reactions. Another key teaching is that of non-attachment. Often, we suffer because we cling to things, ideas, people, possessions, or outcomes. We become attached to how we think life should be, and when reality doesn't match our expectations, we feel hurt. But when we learn to let go of attachment, we free ourselves from this cycle of suffering. This doesn't mean you don't care about anything. It simply means that you recognize that nothing is permanent. Everything in life is constantly changing, and when you stop clinging to things, you allow yourself to flow with life rather than resist it. Let's go back to the example of someone insulting you. If you're attached to your self-image, to the idea that everyone should like and respect you, an insult will feel like a deep wound. But if you let go of that attachment, you'll see the insult for what it really is, just someone else's opinion. It doesn't define you. It doesn't have to hurt you. In fact, one of the most liberating things you can realize is that other people's opinions don't control your worth. The moment you stop seeking validation from others, you free yourself from being hurt by their judgments. Your mind becomes your shield, protecting you from the need for approval or the fear of criticism. At its core, the mind is like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. The more you practice mindfulness, non-attachment, and emotional awareness, the more resilient you become to life's inevitable ups and downs. Think about your day-to-day life. How many times do you find yourself reacting emotionally to things outside your control? Maybe it's something a coworker said, or a problem that came up unexpectedly. Maybe it's even something small, like spilling your coffee in the morning. Each of these events is like a little storm, but with practice, your mind can become the umbrella that shields you from being drenched in frustration, anger, or sadness. Every time you pause and choose not to react automatically, every time you let go of your attachments to how things should be, you strengthen that shield. You start to see life as it is, rather than through the lens of your emotional reactions. This doesn't mean you won't feel emotions, of course, you will. But instead of being controlled by them, you'll learn to observe them, to understand where they come from, and to let them pass like clouds in the sky. You'll realize that emotions are temporary, just like everything else in life. They come and go, but your peace of mind can remain steady. As you continue on this journey, remember that the mind is your greatest tool. It can be your greatest ally or your greatest enemy, depending on how you use it. With practice, you can cultivate a mind that protects you from unnecessary suffering, that allows you to navigate life's challenges with grace and ease. The storms of life will always come, but with the right mindset, you can stand in the midst of them, calm and unshaken. This is the power of the mind as your ultimate shield. Letting go of attachment. You are sitting here today, and I ask you a simple question. What are you holding on to? What is it that keeps pulling at your heart, your mind, or your soul? Is it a relationship that didn't work out? A job that you thought would bring you happiness but didn't? Maybe it's a future you envisioned for yourself that didn't turn out the way you hoped. Whatever it is, it's there, weighing you down. But here's the truth. Holding on to these attachments is what brings you suffering. In Buddhism, attachment is seen as the root of all suffering. And by attachment, I don't just mean material things, though they certainly play a role. We also get attached to people, ideas, outcomes, expectations, and even our sense of identity. We believe that if we could just have these things the way we want them, then we would finally be happy. But life doesn't work that way, does it? Life is unpredictable, ever-changing, and beyond our control. And when we become attached to anything, we are setting ourselves up for disappointment. The moment something slips through our fingers, whether it's a job, a relationship, or a long-held belief, we feel pain. We suffer because we wanted things to be a certain way, and now they aren't. But the key here is to understand that it's not the situation itself that's causing the suffering. It's our attachment to how we wanted it to be. Let me share a simple example. Imagine you have a beautiful vase in your home. You treasure it. Every day, you walk by it, admire it, and you become attached to the idea that this vase is yours, that it will always be there to bring you joy. Then one day, it falls and shatters into pieces. You feel an immediate sense of loss, of sadness. But what are you really grieving? The vase was never permanent. It was always just a temporary object in your life, and its breaking was inevitable. The suffering you feel comes from your attachment to it, not from the fact that it broke. Now, extend that same understanding to every aspect of your life. Every person, every experience, every emotion, and every possession is like that vase. None of it is permanent. We suffer when we hold on to them as if they were. When we cling to the idea that they should last forever, we set ourselves up for heartache. Buddhism teaches that letting go of attachment is the path to true freedom. This doesn't mean you stop caring about things or people. It means you stop clinging to them, expecting them to stay the same or bring you lasting happiness. When you release that grip, you allow yourself to experience life as it is, fluid, ever-changing, and unpredictable, without suffering from the inevitable changes that come your way. Let's explore this idea further. When we are attached to things, we often try to control them. We want to control outcomes, make sure people act in certain ways, and prevent any change that might disrupt our comfort. But trying to control life is like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you grasp, the more it slips through your fingers. And the more you try to control, the more you suffer. One of the core teachings in Buddhism is the concept of non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean you detach from life or stop caring. It means you participate in life fully, but without the desperate need for things to go your way. You accept that things will come and go, people will change, and situations will shift. And that's okay, because your peace, your happiness, does not depend on those external things. It comes from within. Imagine how freeing it would be to live without clinging to anything. If someone criticizes you, you don't take it personally because you're not attached to the need for approval. If you lose something valuable, you don't fall into despair because you understand that nothing lasts forever. If your plans don't work out, you don't feel defeated because you're not attached to a specific outcome. You simply move with life, accepting it as it is, not as you wish it to be. Let me tell you another simple story. There was once a monk who lived a very simple life. He had very few possessions, but one of them was a small wooden bowl that he used every day for his meals. One day, a visitor to the monastery accidentally broke the bowl. The visitor was horrified and immediately apologized to the monk, fearing that he had destroyed something precious to him. But the monk simply smiled and said, "It was already broken." What did the monk mean by this? He understood that everything in life is temporary, including that bowl. He didn't see the bowl as something that would last forever. In his mind, it was already broken, already gone, because he knew it would one day cease to exist. So when it did break, he wasn't attached to it. He had already let go, and in doing so, he saved himself from suffering. Now, imagine living your life with that same mindset. You understand that everything is already broken. The things you hold dear, the people in your life, even your own body, they are all temporary. When you accept this truth, you can stop clinging to them and start appreciating them for what they are in the moment. You live fully, without fear of losing anything, because you know that loss is inevitable. This is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about freeing yourself from the chains of attachment that cause so much unnecessary suffering. When you let go of your need for things to be a certain way, you open yourself up to the beauty of life as it is. You can love more deeply, appreciate more fully, and live more freely because you're no longer trying to control or hold on to anything. In Buddhism, letting go of attachment is a lifelong practice. It doesn't happen overnight, and it requires patience and mindfulness. But every step you take toward non-attachment brings you closer to peace. The less you cling to things, the lighter you feel. The less you try to control life, the more you can flow with it. And the less you depend on external things for happiness, the more you realize that true happiness comes from within. So, as you go through your day, ask yourself, what am I holding on to? What am I clinging to that is causing me pain or frustration? Is it an expectation, a desire, a fear? And then, gently, begin to let it go. You don't have to force it. Just recognize the attachment and remind yourself that nothing in life is permanent. With time and practice, you'll find that the things that once caused you suffering will begin to lose their power over you. And in their place, you'll find a sense of peace and freedom you never knew was possible. Let go. Embrace the flow of life. And remember, nothing is truly yours to keep. And that's perfectly okay. The practice of compassion for self and others. As a Zen master, I have seen many people struggle with the idea of compassion. We often hear about it, but few truly understand its depth. Compassion is not just about feeling sorry for someone or offering help. It's a way of life, a practice that opens the heart and transforms the way we see ourselves and others. Today, let us explore this powerful practice of compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves as well. Why is compassion so important? Imagine a world where everyone was more understanding, more forgiving. How different would our daily lives be if we treated each other with kindness, even when things went wrong? But even more importantly, how would our lives change if we showed ourselves the same compassion we try to offer others? This is often the hardest part. We are so quick to forgive others, but so harsh on ourselves. Buddhism teaches that true compassion starts with self-compassion. If we cannot be kind to ourselves, how can we truly be kind to others? Self-compassion is not about being selfish or ignoring the needs of others. It's about acknowledging our own pain, our own struggles, and offering ourselves the same understanding that we would give a friend. Let me share a simple example. Imagine a time when you made a mistake. Perhaps it was something small, like forgetting an appointment, or something bigger, like saying something hurtful in a moment of anger. What did you say to yourself afterward? Did you forgive yourself quickly? Or did you beat yourself up, replaying the mistake over and over in your mind? Most people, when they make a mistake, are their own harshest critics. We say things to ourselves that we would never say to someone else. I'm so stupid. I always mess things up. Why can't I do anything right? But what if, in those moments, we practice self-compassion? What if, instead of harshness, we offered ourselves kindness? We could say, I made a mistake, but that's okay. I'm human, and I'm learning. We could remind ourselves that everyone makes mistakes, and that mistakes are an important part of growth. When we practice self-compassion, we break the cycle of self-criticism. We create space for healing, for growth, and for inner peace. And this inner peace is essential if we are to offer compassion to others. Now, let's turn our attention to compassion for others. In our daily lives, we are constantly interacting with people. Some we know well, like family and friends. Others are strangers, like the person serving you at a cafe or the driver who cuts you off in traffic. In every interaction, there is an opportunity for compassion. But how often do we seize that opportunity? It's easy to be kind to someone who is kind to you. But true compassion comes when we can be kind to someone who is not. Imagine someone snaps at you, perhaps a coworker or a family member. Your immediate reaction might be to snap back, to defend yourself, or to feel hurt. But what if instead, you took a moment to pause? What if you reminded yourself that this person might be going through something difficult? Maybe they had a bad day, or they're dealing with stress that you know nothing about. When we look at others with compassion, we begin to see beyond their actions and understand their suffering. In Buddhism, we talk about the concept of suffering. Everyone is suffering in some way, whether we see it or not. The person who snaps at you might be suffering from stress or sadness. The person who cuts you off in traffic might be in a rush because of an emergency. We never truly know what someone else is going through. And when we recognize this, it becomes easier to respond with compassion rather than anger or frustration. Compassion for others does not mean letting people walk all over you. It doesn't mean you ignore injustice or allow people to treat you poorly. What it means is that you approach each situation with understanding and kindness, even if you must set boundaries. Compassion is about seeing the humanity in others, recognizing their suffering, and choosing to respond in a way that brings more peace to the world. One of the most powerful ways to practice compassion is through mindfulness. When we are mindful, we are fully present in the moment. We are not caught up in our own emotions or thoughts. Instead, we are aware of what is happening around us and within us. This awareness allows us to respond to situations with clarity and kindness, rather than reacting out of habit or frustration. Let's take a moment to reflect on how we can bring more compassion into our daily lives. The next time you feel anger or frustration towards someone, pause. Take a deep breath and remind yourself that they are suffering in some way. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps you approach the situation with kindness rather than adding more negativity. And don't forget about yourself. When you make a mistake or feel overwhelmed, practice self-compassion. Remind yourself that you are doing your best and that it's okay to not be perfect. The more compassion you offer yourself, the more you will have to offer others. As we practice compassion, we create a ripple effect. Our kindness spreads to those around us, and they, in turn, are more likely to act with kindness towards others. This is how we change the world, one small act of compassion at a time. Compassion is not always easy. It requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to look beyond the surface. But the rewards are immense. When we live with compassion, we create a life filled with peace, connection, and joy. We free ourselves from the cycle of anger, judgment, and negativity, and we help others to do the same. So, let's make compassion a daily practice. Let's commit to being kinder to ourselves and to others. Whether it's a kind word, a thoughtful action, or simply holding space for someone's pain, every act of compassion makes a difference. This is the essence of the practice of compassion in Buddhism, seeing the suffering in ourselves and others, and responding with kindness and understanding. It's not about grand gestures or dramatic changes. It's about small, mindful moments of connection. And when we practice compassion regularly, we not only transform our own lives, but also the world around us. In the end, the practice of compassion is a lifelong journey. We will stumble, we will forget, but with each moment of mindfulness, we can return to this path. And as we walk this path, we will discover that true strength lies not in resisting others, but in embracing them with an open heart. Embracing impermanence. Impermanence. The world around us is always changing, always shifting. Nothing stays the same for long. Look at the trees outside. In the spring, they are full of life, covered with fresh green leaves. In the fall, those leaves turn golden and brown, then fall to the ground. The tree looks bare, but deep inside, it is still alive, still growing, waiting for the next spring. This is the nature of everything in life. Nothing lasts forever. Not the seasons, not the weather, not even the people in our lives or the emotions we feel. Everything is in a constant state of change, whether we notice it or not. This is what we call impermanence. But here's a question for you. If nothing stays the same, why do we struggle with change so much? Why do we get upset when things don't go as planned, when people leave, or when we lose something we care about? The answer lies in our attachment. We want things to stay as they are, especially when they make us feel good. But in clinging to these things, we fight against the natural flow of life. And that is where suffering begins. Let's imagine for a moment. You are holding a beautiful flower. It's perfect. Its petals are soft, its color vibrant, its scent sweet. You love this flower, and you want it to stay like this forever. But flowers don't work that way, do they? Eventually, the petals will wilt, the color will fade, and the flower will die. If you hold on to the idea that this flower must stay perfect, you will feel sadness as it changes. But if you accept its impermanence from the start, you can enjoy its beauty in the moment, without the pain when it eventually fades. This is the lesson of impermanence. Everything is like that flower. Your possessions, your relationships, your emotions, even your own body. They are all temporary, and they are always changing. When you truly understand this, you begin to let go of the need for things to stay the same. You stop resisting the flow of life. You accept change, and in doing so, you free yourself from so much unnecessary suffering. Now, you might ask, but Zen Master, if everything changes and nothing lasts, how can I find peace? Doesn't that make life uncertain and scary? This is where the beauty of impermanence comes in. You see, impermanence is not just about things fading away. It's also about things constantly renewing. Just like the tree loses its leaves in the fall but grows new ones in the spring, change brings new opportunities, new experiences, and new growth. If everything stayed the same, life would be stagnant. There would be no room for growth, no chance for new joys, and no possibility of transformation. Think about the difficult times in your life. Perhaps you've experienced loss, pain, or heartache. It may have felt unbearable in the moment, as though the pain would never end. But did it last forever? No, because nothing ever does. Over time, the pain softened, life moved on, and you found joy again. This is impermanence in action. The difficult moments pass, just as the good ones do. And when you accept that both the highs and the lows are temporary, you learn to appreciate the good while it's here and endure the bad, knowing it will not last forever. Impermanence teaches us to live in the present. When you know that nothing stays the same, you begin to cherish each moment more deeply. You don't waste time worrying about the future or regretting the past, because you know that all you really have is this moment, right now. And in this moment, you can choose to embrace the beauty of life as it is, without needing it to be any different. In Buddhism, we say that impermanence is not something to fear, but something to understand. It's a fact of life, like the rising and setting of the sun. Once you accept this, you can flow with the natural rhythm of life, rather than fight against it. And when you flow with life, you find peace. Let me share a simple practice with you. The next time you find yourself upset because something has changed, maybe a plan has fallen through, or a relationship has ended, or you've lost something dear to you, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself that this, too, is part of life's flow. It is natural, it is impermanent, and it will pass. In that moment, can you feel the tension start to release? Can you feel yourself starting to let go of the need to control everything? This is the peace that comes from embracing impermanence. Now, impermanence doesn't mean we stop caring about things. It doesn't mean we give up on trying to make our lives better or stop loving the people we care about. It simply means we do these things with the understanding that everything is temporary. When we love someone, we love them fully, knowing that someday they may change, or leave, or pass away. But we don't cling to them. We don't try to hold on to something that is naturally flowing. We let our love be like the wind, free, open, and accepting of whatever comes next. This is a powerful mindset shift. Instead of fearing change, we embrace it. Instead of clinging to what we have, we enjoy it in the moment, knowing it will not last. And when the moment passes, we let it go, with gratitude for the experience it brought us. This is how we live in harmony with the truth of impermanence. So, let us not fear change, my friend. Let us not hold on too tightly to the things we love, for they are like water in our hands, impossible to keep forever. Instead, let us cherish each moment as it comes, fully and without attachment. Let us flow with the river of life, knowing that everything changes, and in that change, there is beauty. When you begin to live with this understanding, you will notice a great shift in your heart. You will no longer feel the sting of loss so deeply. You will no longer resist the natural changes in your life. Instead, you will greet each moment with peace, knowing that it is part of the grand, ever-changing dance of existence. Embrace impermanence, and you will find freedom. Mindfulness as a tool for inner strength. In the stillness of the morning, before the sun fully rises, there lies a profound opportunity. This is the time when the world is quiet and the mind is clear. Here, we can learn a simple, yet powerful practice, mindfulness. It is in these moments of quiet reflection that we find the seeds of inner strength. Imagine your mind as a calm, clear lake. The surface reflects the sky above, serene and undisturbed. Yet, when a stone is thrown into the water, ripples spread, distorting the reflection. Your thoughts and emotions are like those ripples, often caused by external events or inner turbulence. Mindfulness teaches us to observe these ripples without getting caught up in them. What is mindfulness? Simply put, it is the practice of being fully present in the moment. It is about observing your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment. When you are mindful, you notice the ripples of your mind, but do not let them control you. Instead, you watch them with gentle awareness, allowing them to pass without interference. In our busy lives, it is easy to become lost in the whirlwind of our thoughts and feelings. We react impulsively to events, letting our emotions dictate our actions. Mindfulness offers a different approach. It invites us to pause, to take a step back and observe what is happening within us and around us. Start by taking a few moments each day to practice mindfulness. Sit quietly and focus on your breath. Notice the sensation of the air entering and leaving your body. As thoughts arise, simply acknowledge them and let them go, returning your focus to your breath. This practice helps to calm the mind and center your thoughts. Through mindfulness, we become aware of how our mind creates stories and interpretations about our experiences. Often, these stories are influenced by our past experiences, fears, and desires. By observing them mindfully, we can see them for what they are, transient thoughts that do not define us. This awareness helps to reduce the power of these thoughts over our emotions. In the teachings of Buddhism, mindfulness is not just a technique, but a way of life. It is about integrating awareness into every aspect of our daily activities. Whether you are eating, walking, or engaging in conversation, mindfulness encourages you to be fully present. This presence helps to cultivate a sense of peace and clarity amidst the chaos of life. Consider how you react when someone cuts you off in traffic. Without mindfulness, you might respond with frustration or anger. However, if you practice mindfulness, you can observe your reaction without becoming overwhelmed by it. You can choose to let it go, allowing the moment to pass without affecting your inner peace. Mindfulness also teaches us to be kind to ourselves. Often, we are our harshest critics, judging ourselves for perceived failures or shortcomings. By practicing mindfulness, we learn to observe these judgments without attaching to them. We become more compassionate towards ourselves, recognizing that our imperfections are part of being human. In meditation, mindfulness helps us to settle the mind and connect with our inner selves. It is a tool for exploring the deeper aspects of our being, for understanding our true nature beyond the surface of everyday distractions. Through regular practice, we develop a greater sense of self-awareness and inner strength. As we continue to practice mindfulness, we find that it becomes easier to maintain our calm and clarity in challenging situations. We learn to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. This shift in response helps us navigate life's difficulties with grace and resilience. Mindfulness also deepens our connection to the present moment. When we are fully engaged in the here and now, we experience life more vividly and authentically. We appreciate the beauty in simple things and find joy in the ordinary. This presence enriches our lives and contributes to our overall well-being. In relationships, mindfulness allows us to listen more deeply and communicate more effectively. When we are present, we are better able to understand the feelings and perspectives of others. This understanding fosters empathy and strengthens our connections with those around us. Remember, mindfulness is not about achieving a perfect state of tranquility. It is about cultivating a gentle awareness of our experiences and responses. It is about being present with ourselves and others, without judgment or attachment. This practice supports our journey towards inner strength and resilience. As you go through your day, bring mindfulness into your actions. Notice the sensations of your body, the thoughts in your mind, and the feelings in your heart. Observe them with curiosity and kindness. Through this practice, you will find that you are better equipped to handle life's challenges with a calm and steady presence. By integrating mindfulness into your daily routine, you create a foundation of inner strength. This strength comes not from controlling the external world, but from mastering your inner world. You learn to navigate the ripples of your mind with grace, maintaining your peace amidst the ebb and flow of life. In essence, mindfulness empowers you to be the observer of your own experience. It allows you to detach from the turbulence of your thoughts and emotions, revealing a deeper sense of clarity and tranquility. Embrace this practice, and you will discover a profound source of inner strength that guides you through the challenges of life with equanimity and wisdom. Embracing impermanence. In the quiet moments of dawn, when the world is still and the mind is calm, there is a profound truth to be grasped. Everything changes. The river flows, the seasons shift, and the very thoughts that rise in our minds are like passing clouds. To understand and embrace this truth is to find a profound peace that lies beyond the temporary disturbances of life. Imagine a tree standing tall in a field. Its leaves change color with the seasons. In spring, it is lush and green. In autumn, it is a canvas of red and gold. Yet, regardless of its appearance, the tree remains rooted and steadfast. This is the essence of embracing impermanence. Just as the tree adapts to the changing seasons, so too can we learn to adapt to the inevitable changes in our lives. To embrace impermanence means to accept that nothing is permanent, and this includes our emotions, our successes, and our failures. Often, we cling to moments of joy and try to hold on to them as if they could last forever. We resist change, fearing the loss of what we cherish. But just as the seasons change, so too do our experiences. When we accept this, we release the grip of fear and attachment. Consider a beautiful sunset. It paints the sky with brilliant colors, and for a few fleeting moments, it is a masterpiece. But the sunset does not last. It gives way to the night. If we try to hold on to the beauty of that sunset, we miss the beauty of the night sky that follows. In life, when we cling too tightly to moments, we miss the richness of what comes next. Embracing impermanence allows us to fully appreciate each moment without the weight of attachment. When we resist change, we often find ourselves in a state of suffering. We might feel frustration when things don't go as planned or sadness when we lose something dear. But suffering arises not from the change itself, but from our resistance to it. By understanding that change is a natural part of life, we can learn to flow with it rather than struggle against it. The Buddha taught that suffering is rooted in our attachment to things as they are. We want things to stay the same, to hold on to our desires and aversions. This clinging causes pain when the natural flow of change occurs. But if we let go of our attachments, we discover a deeper sense of peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. In practical terms, embracing impermanence means acknowledging that our emotions are like waves on the ocean. They rise and fall, come and go. When we are caught up in a wave of anger or sadness, it can feel overwhelming. But if we recognize that these emotions are temporary, like waves that will eventually pass, we can respond with greater calm and wisdom. This doesn't mean we become indifferent or detached from life. On the contrary, it allows us to engage with life more fully and openly. When we accept that everything is in a state of flux, we can appreciate the beauty of each moment without the pressure of making it last forever. We learn to cherish the present, knowing that it is precious precisely because it is fleeting. Imagine a moment of joy, like the laughter of a child or a shared smile with a friend. If we understand that this moment is transient, we can savor it fully. We are not burdened by the expectation that it must last forever. Instead, we embrace it as a beautiful, passing experience, enriching our lives without the need to hold on to it. By practicing mindfulness, we can become more aware of the changing nature of our thoughts and feelings. Mindfulness teaches us to observe our inner experiences without judgment. We see that our thoughts and emotions are like passing clouds in the sky. They come and go, and we are not defined by them. This awareness helps us to live more freely and peacefully. Embracing impermanence also means recognizing that our challenges and difficulties are temporary. When we face hardships, we might feel overwhelmed, but these too shall pass. By understanding that difficulties are not permanent, we find the strength to endure and overcome them. We see them as part of the natural ebb and flow of life, rather than as obstacles that define us. As we navigate through life, we encounter moments of change and transition. Whether it's a job change, a relationship shift, or a personal challenge, embracing impermanence helps us to move through these transitions with grace. We are not attached to the outcomes. Instead, we adapt and find new ways to grow and learn. In our daily lives, we can practice embracing impermanence by letting go of rigid expectations and being open to whatever comes our way. We learn to flow with life's changes, finding contentment in the present moment rather than clinging to past experiences or worrying about the future. Embracing impermanence also helps us to develop a greater sense of resilience. When we accept that change is a constant, we become more adaptable and resourceful. We are less likely to be shaken by unexpected events, and more able to find creative solutions to the challenges we face. In conclusion, embracing impermanence is a powerful practice that brings a profound sense of peace and freedom. It allows us to appreciate the beauty of each moment, to navigate change with grace, and to find resilience in the face of life's challenges. By letting go of our attachments and accepting the natural flow of change, we discover a deeper, more enduring sense of peace that remains unshaken by the ebb and flow of life. Overcoming negative emotions, anger, fear, and resentment. In the stillness of your mind, there lies a deep well of tranquility. Yet, how often do we find ourselves ensnared by the stormy winds of anger, fear, and resentment? These emotions arise like turbulent waves, crashing against the shore of our inner peace. But remember this, these storms do not define the ocean. They are fleeting, temporary, and can be soothed. To understand how to overcome these emotions, let us first look at the nature of anger. Anger is like a fire that consumes everything in its path. When we are angry, it is as though a wildfire has ignited within us, burning away our calm and clarity. But what fuels this fire? It is our attachment to what we think should be. When reality does not align with our desires, anger emerges as a reaction to this dissonance. To tame the fire of anger, we must recognize that it is not the external world that ignites this blaze, but our own minds. Imagine you are holding a hot coal, your hand burning from its heat. The only way to stop the pain is to release the coal. Similarly, when anger arises, we must let go of our attachment to how things should be. By releasing our expectations and accepting things as they are, we diminish the fuel for our anger. Next, let us turn to fear. Fear is like a shadow that looms over us, distorting our perception of reality. It paralyzes us, prevents us from moving forward, and keeps us locked in a cage of uncertainty. But observe this. Fear is often based on projections of what might happen rather than what is happening. To overcome fear, we must look directly into its eyes. Fear often lives in our thoughts about the future. When we bring our awareness to the present moment, we see that our fears are merely stories we tell ourselves. The present moment is always calm, always stable. By focusing on the here and now, we dissolve the illusions of what might come to pass, and the shadow of fear loses its power. Resentment, the third emotion, is like a heavy stone we carry in our hearts. It weighs us down, constantly reminding us of past hurts and injustices. We hold on to resentment as though it is a shield protecting us, but in reality, it is a burden that drags us into the past. To release resentment, we must understand that holding on to it only chains us to our pain. Resentment is like holding a grudge against someone who has long since forgotten their offense. The only one suffering from this grudge is ourselves. Forgiveness is the key to lifting this stone from our hearts. By letting go of resentment, we free ourselves from its weight and reclaim our peace. The teachings of Buddhism offer profound insights into overcoming these negative emotions. They remind us that emotions are not our enemies, but our teachers. Anger, fear, and resentment are signals that we need to look inward and address the attachments and illusions that cloud our judgment. Practicing mindfulness is one way to begin this journey. When you feel anger rising, take a moment to breathe deeply and observe the sensation without judgment. Notice how the fire of anger starts to diminish as you simply observe it. When fear grips you, bring your awareness to the present moment and see how the shadow of fear fades when confronted with the reality of now. When resentment weighs you down, practice forgiveness, not for the sake of others, but for your own freedom. Meditation can also be a powerful tool in managing these emotions. Through meditation, we create a space of stillness where we can observe our emotions without being consumed by them. This practice helps us develop a deeper understanding of our reactions and cultivates a sense of inner calm. In our everyday lives, we can apply these teachings by being mindful of our reactions. When anger arises, pause and reflect. When fear emerges, ground yourself in the present. When resentment lingers, practice forgiveness. Each moment of mindfulness is a step towards overcoming these emotions and finding a deeper sense of peace. Remember, overcoming negative emotions is not about suppressing or denying them. It is about understanding them, addressing the underlying causes, and finding freedom from their grip. By applying these principles, you begin to see that you are not controlled by your emotions, but can move through them with grace and clarity. In the vast ocean of your mind, let these practices be the gentle waves that guide you to a place of serenity. Anger, fear, and resentment are merely temporary disturbances. With awareness and compassion, you can navigate through these emotions and find a peaceful shore. Building emotional immunity through meditation. In the stillness of the early morning, before the world awakens, there is a space of profound peace. This space exists within each of us, waiting to be discovered and embraced. Today, we delve into the practice of meditation, a timeless tool for building emotional immunity and fostering inner strength. Imagine a storm raging outside your window. The wind howls, and the rain pelts against the glass. Inside, however, you remain calm and unaffected. This is the essence of what meditation offers, a sanctuary of tranquility amid life's tempests. Just as a sturdy house withstands a storm, your mind, when trained through meditation, can remain steady and resilient, regardless of external turmoil. Meditation is not merely a practice but a journey into the depths of your own being. It's a way to cultivate a state of inner peace that becomes a refuge against the stresses and strains of daily life. By sitting quietly and focusing your attention inward, you begin to untangle the knots of worry, fear, and agitation that cloud your mind. In the beginning, the mind may seem like a turbulent sea, with waves of thoughts crashing one after another. But as you continue to practice, these waves gradually calm. The key is not to suppress or fight these thoughts, but to observe them with gentle detachment. Imagine each thought as a leaf floating down a stream. You notice it, acknowledge it, and let it drift away, without clinging to it or letting it disturb your inner stillness. Through regular meditation, you begin to develop a new relationship with your thoughts and emotions. Rather than being overwhelmed by them, you learn to watch them with curiosity and compassion. This shift in perspective is crucial for building emotional immunity. When you are no longer at the mercy of your feelings, you gain a sense of freedom and control that empowers you to face life's challenges with greater ease. Consider the analogy of a garden. A garden must be tended to regularly, removing weeds and nurturing plants to thrive. Similarly, your mind requires regular attention. Meditation serves as the gardener, clearing away the mental clutter and nourishing the seeds of inner peace and resilience. Each session of meditation is like a fresh breath of air, a moment to renew your spirit and strengthen your emotional core. Meditation also helps in recognizing and understanding your emotional triggers. By becoming more aware of your habitual reactions, you can begin to see patterns and underlying causes. This awareness is the first step towards change. When you understand why certain situations or people trigger strong emotions, you can work to address these triggers with greater insight and wisdom. Another important aspect of meditation is the cultivation of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in each moment, without judgment. When you approach life with mindfulness, you are less likely to be swept away by the currents of anger, fear, or anxiety. Instead, you become a calm observer, able to respond to situations with clarity and balance. Imagine walking through a bustling market. The sights, sounds, and smells surround you, each vying for your attention. Yet, amidst this sensory overload, you remain centered, experiencing each moment with calm awareness. This is the power of mindfulness, a state where you can engage with life's experiences without being overwhelmed by them. As you deepen your meditation practice, you may begin to notice subtle changes in how you respond to stress and conflict. Situations that once caused intense emotional reactions may no longer have the same impact. This doesn't mean that you become indifferent or detached, but rather that you cultivate a steady, balanced approach to life's challenges. It's important to remember that meditation is a practice, not a perfection. There will be days when your mind feels restless or when you struggle to maintain focus. This is natural and part of the journey. The key is to approach these moments with patience and kindness towards yourself. Each time you return to your practice, you are reinforcing your emotional resilience and strengthening your inner sanctuary. Incorporating meditation into your daily routine doesn't require long hours. Even just a few minutes each day can make a significant difference. Start with short sessions, perhaps 5 or 10 minutes, and gradually increase the time as you become more comfortable. The most important aspect is consistency. The more regularly you practice, the more profound the benefits will become. As you build this practice, you may also find that meditation opens up new pathways to self-discovery and personal growth. It can reveal deeper insights into your values, aspirations, and purpose in life. This newfound clarity can further enhance your emotional resilience as you become more aligned with your true self and less swayed by external influences. Remember, the goal of meditation is not to escape from reality, but to engage with it more fully and with greater understanding. It's about developing a sense of inner strength that allows you to face life's ups and downs with grace and composure. Through meditation, you cultivate a steady, unwavering center that remains calm even amidst life's greatest storms. As we conclude this exploration of meditation and emotional immunity, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. How can you integrate these practices into your daily life? What small steps can you take to begin or deepen your meditation practice? By embracing meditation, you're not only building emotional resilience, but also opening yourself up to a life of greater peace, clarity, and fulfillment. The journey may be gradual, but each step brings you closer to a state of unshakable inner strength. So, as you move forward, carry with you the quiet strength of meditation. Let it be a beacon of calm in your life, guiding you through the challenges and joys that lie ahead. May your practice bring you profound peace and a deep sense of inner freedom. The balance between solitude and community in Buddhism. In the quiet stillness of solitude, one finds the true essence of self. In the bustling energy of community, one finds the reflection of interconnectedness. Both are vital, yet how do we balance these two aspects of our lives? This balance is a dance between the inner and outer worlds, a journey of both solitude and connection. Let us explore this delicate equilibrium through the wisdom of Buddhism. Imagine a tranquil pond. When undisturbed, its surface is calm, reflecting the sky perfectly. This stillness is akin to solitude, a space where the mind can rest, reflect, and rejuvenate. In solitude, we connect deeply with our own essence. Here, in the quiet, we hear our own thoughts clearly and find clarity. This is the foundation upon which true understanding and self-awareness are built. Yet, the pond also experiences the ripple of disturbances, a leaf falling, a stone cast. These ripples represent the influence of community. Just as the pond's surface changes with every ripple, our lives are influenced by the interactions with others. Community brings us a wealth of experiences, connections, and reflections that enrich our lives. In Buddhism, solitude and community are not opposites but complements. Solitude allows us to cultivate inner peace and wisdom. It is in these moments alone that we understand ourselves and our place in the world. We observe our thoughts and emotions without external interference, gaining insights into our true nature. Solitude is the space where we can practice mindfulness and develop a profound sense of self-awareness. However, the wisdom of Buddhism teaches that balance is key. If we remain in solitude too long, we risk becoming detached from the world around us. We might lose touch with the needs and feelings of others, becoming isolated and disconnected. Just as a pond needs ripples to bring movement and energy, we need community to ground us and provide a mirror for our actions and thoughts. Community is where we practice compassion, empathy, and understanding. It is in our interactions with others that we test our patience, kindness, and wisdom. The presence of others challenges us to apply what we have learned in solitude to real-life situations. Through community, we learn about interconnectedness, the understanding that we are all linked in the vast web of existence. When we are part of a community, we engage in shared experiences that help us grow. We celebrate joys together and support each other through difficulties. Community offers us perspectives beyond our own, expanding our understanding and deepening our compassion. It is a dynamic space where our solitude finds its meaning and purpose. Yet, even within the vibrant energy of community, it is essential to carve out moments of solitude. This practice helps us maintain our inner balance and prevents us from being overwhelmed by external demands. By periodically retreating to our inner sanctuary, we recharge our spirits and gain renewed clarity. In Buddhism, This balance is often represented by the concept of the middle way, a path that avoids extremes and embraces harmony. The middle way teaches us that neither complete isolation nor constant social engagement is ideal. Instead, we are encouraged to find a rhythm that integrates both solitude and community in a way that nurtures our well-being. Consider the lotus flower, which grows in muddy water yet blooms in the sunlight. It represents the ability to thrive amidst both solitude and community. The mud symbolizes the complexities and challenges of life, while the sunlight represents the clarity and peace found in solitude. The lotus flower's journey is a metaphor for our own path of balancing these elements. In your own life, observe how you respond to solitude and community. Are there moments when you seek isolation to escape the demands of social interaction? Or perhaps you find yourself lost in the crowd, forgetting the importance of personal reflection. By recognizing these patterns, you can make conscious choices to achieve a more harmonious balance. The practice of mindfulness can guide you in this journey. When you are alone, engage fully in your inner exploration, and when you are with others, be present and attentive. Allow both solitude and community to enrich your life, drawing on the strengths of each to cultivate a well-rounded sense of self. As you navigate this balance, remember that neither solitude nor community is an end in itself. They are tools for growth, each offering unique insights and experiences. Embrace them both, and let them guide you toward a deeper understanding of yourself and your place in the world. In Buddhism, the path to balance is not about achieving perfection, but about harmonizing the different aspects of our lives. It is a continuous practice of finding equilibrium, a dance between the quietude of solitude and the vibrancy of community. By honoring both solitude and community, you align yourself with the natural flow of life. You become more resilient, compassionate, and aware, finding peace in the interplay of these elements. So, take a moment to reflect on your own journey and seek the balance that resonates with your spirit. Let both solitude and community guide you towards a life of harmony and fulfillment. Conclusion: the path to unshakable peace. As we reach the end of our journey together, let us reflect on the wisdom we have shared. In our quest for inner resilience, we have discovered that true peace comes not from controlling the world around us, but from mastering ourselves. It is in the quiet spaces of our minds that we find the strength to remain unshaken. The path to unshakable peace begins with understanding that no external force can truly harm us unless we allow it. We have seen that suffering arises not from the world, but from our reactions to it. This is a profound realization. The power to control our peace lies within our own minds. It is not about ignoring the world's challenges, but about how we choose to respond to them. Recall the teachings we have explored: attachment, impermanence, mindfulness, and compassion. Each of these concepts is a step on the path to inner peace. Let us revisit them briefly. Attachment. We have learned that our suffering often comes from our attachments. We cling to our desires, our expectations, and our need for things to be a certain way. But in doing so, we set ourselves up for disappointment. By releasing these attachments, we free ourselves from the pain they cause. Imagine a tree in the wind. It bends and sways, but does not break. Similarly, when we let go of our rigid expectations, we become flexible and resilient. Impermanence. Everything in life is in a constant state of change. This is the nature of existence. By embracing the fact that nothing lasts forever, we can face life's ups and downs with a sense of ease. When we understand that every moment, whether joyful or challenging, is temporary, we can hold on to our inner peace amid the chaos of life. Mindfulness. Through mindfulness, we learn to be present with our thoughts and emotions without being overwhelmed by them. It is a practice of observing our inner world with detachment. Just as a calm pond reflects the sky, a mind at peace reflects the truth of the present moment. By cultivating mindfulness, we can remain grounded even when external circumstances are turbulent. Compassion. Finally, compassion, both for ourselves and others, is a cornerstone of inner peace. When we approach life with kindness and understanding, we dissolve the barriers that cause conflict and pain. Compassion is like a balm for the soul, soothing the wounds inflicted by harsh words or actions. It helps us to respond to the world with a gentle heart. As we conclude, Remember that the journey to unshakable peace is not a destination but a continuous practice. Each day offers new opportunities to apply these teachings. When faced with challenges, take a moment to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, how can I respond with wisdom and calm? How can I stay true to the principles of detachment and compassion? Your path to peace is uniquely yours. It will be shaped by your experiences, your reflections, and your commitment to these practices. Trust in your ability to navigate life with grace. Like a skilled gardener tending to a garden, you will nurture your inner world and cultivate the seeds of peace and resilience. And so, as we part ways, carry this wisdom with you. Let it guide you through life's uncertainties and help you find tranquility amidst the noise. The teachings we have explored are not mere ideas but tools for transforming your daily experience. They are keys to unlocking a state of inner serenity that remains steadfast, regardless of the storms that may arise. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you have found these teachings valuable, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven. Your support helps us continue to bring these insights to others seeking peace and wisdom. As you walk your path, may you find joy in the simplicity of these teachings and strength in the knowledge that true peace lies within you. Walk with a calm heart, and may your journey be filled with serenity and grace. Namaste.